When someone lets you go, most of the time they don't expect you to actually let them go too. They expect you to wait, to chase, to hold the door open while they walk away with the belief that your emotional attachment will remain intact, that you'll be there if they ever turn back, that your value will sit quietly on the shelf, waiting for them to pick it up again when it suits them. But the most powerful response is not anger, not revenge, not desperate attempts to make them see your worth. It's letting them go fully, calmly, without hesitation, without the silent hope that they'll return. Because when you truly release someone, when you detach without bitterness and build your life as if their absence means nothing to your peace, that's when you disrupt their entire understanding of the dynamic. They didn't expect that. They didn't expect you to grow without them. They didn't expect you to stop needing them. They didn't expect you to protect your energy instead of clinging to the story. The power is not in holding on. It's in becoming someone who no longer needs to. And when they realize you're gone in a way they can no longer reach, when they feel the emotional door truly closed, that's when the weight of their decision finally hits them. This is how you break the cycle, not by proving anything to them, but by proving to yourself that your peace was never in their hands. This is how you become untouchable. When they let you go, they often believe they're the one in control. They think they hold the power because they were the one to walk away, the one to create distance, the one to step back from the connection. But this belief is built on a false assumption that you will stay emotionally attached even in their absence. They see walking away as a position of strength because they imagine you will remain stuck in longing, stuck in confusion, stuck in the endless replay of what went wrong. And in their mind, they will always have access to your attention, your validation, your energy, even if they no longer actively contribute to your life. This is why so many people walk away carelessly. They believe you won't really let them go, that you'll wait in emotional limbo until they decide whether they want to come back. But this is an illusion of power, because walking away doesn't guarantee control. It simply initiates a test of who can truly release. And most people who leave aren't ready for you to pass that test. They expect to still feel your presence, your attachment, your quiet chasing energy echoing in the background of their life. They think their absence will elevate their value in your mind, but what they never calculate is the possibility that you will use their absence as fuel to rebuild, to detach, to grow into someone who no longer revolves around them. They let you go, but they didn't expect that you would let them go too. The shock of true detachment is something they never see coming, because most people mistake distance for detachment. They believe that just because time has passed or conversations have stopped, they still have emotional weight in your life. But real detachment is not about how long you've been apart. It's about whether their absence still pulls on you, whether your peace still depends on their return, whether they still live rent-free in your emotional world. When they walk away, they often expect a superficial kind of distance, where you may not text, you may not call, but they still assume you're quietly holding space for them, that your energy is still tethered, that you're still emotionally available if they ever decide to come back. This is why it shocks them when they finally realize you're gone, not in words, not in bitterness, but in presence, in energy, in the calm reality that you no longer orbit around them. You no longer hope, you no longer wait, and you no longer need them to see you, to validate you, to return to you. The shock hits when they feel the door is truly closed, not slammed with rage, but sealed with peace. When they test the waters and feel that you are not the same person they left behind. When they realize their absence didn't keep them powerful. It erased them from the emotional position they thought they would always hold. True detachment is silent. It's not performative. It's not a warning. It simply arrives like a quiet reset where they are no longer part of the life you were building. And because they didn't expect that, it forces them to confront the decision they made in a way they are no longer in control of. The shock isn't just that you moved on. It's that you did it without making a sound. Emotional absence hits harder than silence, because silence can be temporary. Silence can be a tactic. Silence can still carry the quiet energy of waiting or hoping, but true emotional absence is when your presence is gone in a way they can feel deeply. When your energy is no longer reaching for them, when you have stopped thinking about them, stopped trying to pull them back, and stopped anchoring your sense of peace to their return. When someone lets you go, they usually expect silence, but they still assume they matter in your world. They believe they still hold emotional real estate inside you, that even if you're not speaking, you're still emotionally available if they choose to knock again. This is why emotional absence feels like a gut punch. It's the moment they realize they no longer have any emotional grip. They no longer live in your thoughts. They no longer have access to your energy, even if they reach out. They don't expect to feel like strangers to you. They don't expect to feel that the version of you that cared, that fought, that waited, no longer exists. Emotional absence is powerful because it doesn't need words. It changes how you move, how you think, how you protect your peace, and they can feel it even in your silence. They might try to test you, reach out, drop breadcrumbs to see if the door is still open. But when they meet a version of you who no longer leans forward, who no longer emotionally responds, who no longer carries the weight of what was, they realize they didn't just lose your attention, they lost access. And when access is gone, real regret begins, not because you punished them, but simply because you let them go and never turned back. There comes a moment when they realize they didn't just lose you, they lost access. And this is what truly unsettles them, because most people believe they can walk away from a connection and still come back to the same emotional door, still be received with the same warmth, still be seen with the same eyes that once valued them. But when you truly let someone go, when you detach without bitterness or hidden waiting, you quietly lock that door, not out of spite, but out of growth. They begin to sense that what they lost wasn't just your presence, it was the right to be remembered in the same way, the privilege of being emotionally significant to you, the power of still having a hold on your heart. They start to realize they can no longer call and get the same version of you. They can no longer text and expect you to drop everything. They can no longer assume that their name still carries weight in your life. And that is what shakes them. They didn't calculate that access is the true privilege, not proximity. You can physically leave someone, but still believe you have access to their emotions, their attention, their patience. But when they feel that you have fully removed that bridge, when they sense that you have moved into a chapter where they no longer exist in your story, the gravity of their decision finally arrives. They realize they misjudged you. They misjudged the depth of your self-respect. They misjudged the finality of your detachment. And what they feel isn't just distance, it's the loss of access. And that loss stings far more than silence ever could. They let you go, but they never expected you would close the door so quietly, so permanently, so completely that they would no longer know how to find you. Detachment flips the power dynamic in a way they never expected. Because when they let you go, they believed they held control. They thought their absence would leave you waiting. They assumed their decision would define the story. But when you detach, not through rage or retaliation, but through calm acceptance and emotional release, you silently take all the power back because you no longer seek their return, you no longer need their recognition, and you no longer position your peace inside their hands. Detachment is the quiet shift where you stop chasing, stop proving, stop hoping, and simply start building a life where their relevance dissolves. And the more you anchor yourself in this calm distance, the more they begin to feel the weight of their absence, the more they start to sense that you are no longer mentally or emotionally reachable. And this is when the power begins to reverse. They thought you would orbit around them forever, but now they orbit around the possibility of losing you forever. They thought you would keep the door open, but now they realize they are the one left on the outside. Detachment changes the power because it removes their ability to control your emotional world. They can no longer pull you back with a simple message. They can no longer test your loyalty with breadcrumbs, and they can no longer predict your reaction because you are no longer emotionally predictable. When you detach fully, you become untouchable. Not because you block them, not because you erase them with anger, but because you no longer carry them inside you. They feel the difference, they feel the shift, and the power they once believed was theirs quietly returns to you. They let you go, but they never expected you would stop needing to be found. When they sense that your detachment is real, when they feel the emotional door is no longer quietly left open for them, many will eventually try to reopen the connection they once abandoned, because they didn't expect you to truly let them go. They believed they could always return to a familiar version of you, that your patience would outlast their absence, that your heart would still be positioned to receive them. But when they come back to test the waters, they find that you are no longer emotionally available in the way they remember. This return is rarely framed as a full apology or an open confession. It's often subtle, indirect, disguised as a casual message, a friendly check-in, or a random interaction designed to see if you still care, if you still emotionally react, if you still make space for them. They don't always come back because they want to rebuild. They come back because they want to confirm whether they still have access, whether the door is still slightly ajar, whether you are still quietly waiting. But what shocks them is when they feel the neutrality, when they realize you no longer carry emotional tension around them, when they sense that your life is not paused in their absence. They try to reopen the door because they miss the version of themselves they were when you still needed them, when you still valued their attention, when you still fought for their presence. But that version of you no longer exists. And when they reach out to find a different person, a different energy, a different rhythm, it unsettles them. They didn't expect to become the outsider. They didn't expect to be the one wondering. They let you go, but they didn't expect you to move so far that even when they return, they can no longer reach you. The highest level of freedom is when you become unavailable without rage, without resentment, without the need to punish or prove anything. You simply arrive at a place where you no longer have the emotional capacity or interest to invest in a connection that already let you go. And you carry that absence not as a strategy, but as a natural evolution of your self-respect. Becoming unavailable is not about blocking, ghosting, or performing indifference. It's about genuinely no longer holding space for someone who once believed your attention would always be there. You don't move with spite, you move with clarity. You don't create distance to make a point. You create distance because you've outgrown the part of you that waited. When they come back, when they test the waters, when they try to step back into your life as if the door was never fully closed, you don't need to teach them a lesson. You've already taught it by simply moving forward. Your unavailability is the lesson. Your calm detachment is the message. Your peace is the proof that you no longer chase what walked away. You live in a chapter where they are no longer written into the story, and you carry no bitterness about it. You've just become unavailable to old cycles, to old emotional patterns, to the version of you that would have waited forever. They let you go, but they didn't expect you to grow so deeply that even their return would feel like a distant echo. This is the strength they never calculated. You didn't have to force anything. You just no longer needed them. And when they finally see that you are gone in a way they can't reach, they realize they didn't just lose you. They lost the version of themselves that mattered to you. When someone lets you go, it feels like a wound at first, but the real power comes when you realize that letting them go too is your ultimate act of freedom. Not out of spite, not out of anger, but out of unshakable self-respect and clarity. You don't need to chase what walked away, because your value isn't tied to their presence or absence. It's rooted deep inside you, untouched by their decisions. When you stop waiting for them, stop hoping they'll return, and instead build your peace independently, you shift the entire dynamic. They didn't expect you to be strong enough to truly let go, and in that space, you reclaim control, not by force, but by calm detachment. This is where real power lives, in becoming someone who no longer needs approval, validation, or return. If this message hit home, drop a comment below about your own experience with letting go and gaining freedom. Subscribe and join a community that builds strength from calm, stoic clarity. And remember, the greatest victory is not in holding on, but in knowing when to walk away quietly and without regret. I'll see you in the next video.